Greetings all, Devious Monkey here. Okay, so I'm still out on this walk, but I decided to shoot another video while I was doing it. Why? Simply because I wanted to get to a point of making a decision of when I'm doing this stuff, this back and forth vloggy type shit, I have decided that, you know, unless I'm in studio using the A6600, I'm gonna start shooting. I'm going back to 1080. I'm going back to HD, not 4K. Simply because of the fact that, as I said in the last video, it takes too much time. It's definitely disrupting my flow of cranking things out, because when I was doing those videos every day, I was shooting in HD, 24 frames a second. You know, my computer can handle it. That's not saying that my computer can't handle the 4K footage. It totally can, but it still takes longer. And like I said in the last video, it takes longer because it takes a while for the video to render into Final Cut Pro so that I can actually start editing it. And then once I edit it, it takes a while to render before I can upload it. And then it takes a while for it to upload to YouTube. And it just takes too damn long. Last night really sort of pushed me over the edge, because this has happened to me before, but because it happened last night, I was just sort of pissed off about it, and I'm kind of over it. It took forever to upload to YouTube, and then I saw the little thing that usually says, okay, your video has been shared to YouTube, you can check it out. And I just thought that's what it said, so I went to YouTube, and it showed 0%. And it just kept showing 0%. And I'm like, what the frick is going on? And I went back to Final Cut Pro and saw that that didn't tell me that it was shared properly. What it told me was that it failed to share. So that took a long time to fail, number one. And then, because I was a dummy and I didn't look at it, I was waiting and waiting because it just said processing video and it never left 0%. So it took me way the hell too long last night to upload that video. So I have decided that, screw it, I'm going back to 1080, 24 frames a second, and I guess it's at 50 megabits, because that's as high as it'll go on 24p. This camera, that is. So there we go. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shoot on this ZV-1 pretty much most of the time on HD, 1080, 24 frames a second. And then I'll be able to crank out my videos a lot faster. Again, when I was doing daily videos, I did them all in HD, and I didn't have any problems, and I've got to be really quick at the editing to get shit done. Now, quick editing. Let's talk about that. I noticed today that Casey Neistat posted an answer that he gave to somebody, or advice, whatever, that he gave to somebody asking about editing. And he point blank said, straight cuts, no color correction, no fancy fonts, none of that crazy shit, tell a good story. And I started reading through all the comments. And of course, as with anything, you get your little boys that talk about how they know everything and da-da-da-da-da, and it doesn't matter what answer you give or what you say, they're always gonna tell you you're wrong and that they know better and you should listen to them. Bottom line, and the gist that I took from what he said was what I've thought and what I've done all along most of the time. And that's, I don't do any color grading. I shoot straight out of the camera and try to get it to where it looks how I want it to look as much as possible without doing any kind of S-Log or HLG or any of that shit, because I already hate editing as it is and I suck at it. So I don't want to add that many more steps. And just like with my little test with the Catalyst Browse, how it added 45 minutes of rendering time to smooth it out, and I didn't get any better of a picture than I did is when I put this into active stabilization. So that's all part of the editing too. There's no way I'm gonna take, let's just say, an average of 10-minute video, and keep in mind I only rendered like 2.5 minutes and it took 45 minutes to render. So there's no way that I'm gonna add all that editing time with even more rendering. So bottom line, the Devious Monkey's going back to HD 1080p. I don't really have any difference in comments from when I was shooting in HD to shooting in 4K, with the exception of my boy in Connecticut, you know who you are, and that was after I got the Atomos, after I got the Ninja 5, because it, you know, we're shooting straight from the sensor, blah, 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 blah. And like I said, I will continue to shoot in 4K on that setup. So that's pretty much like when I'm in studio and I'm using that camera. No problem. But for this kind of crap, yeah, we're going back to HD. I need to significantly lower my editing time, because that's another reason why I stopped posting every day, because it takes me so much longer to edit, and that drives me nuts because I hate editing. I've never gotten over that. I continue to sit there and say, I'm not even doing like any kind of crazy transitions. I'm not putting any special effects. I'm not color grading. I'm not doing anything special, and it already takes me forever to edit. So, imagine if I started doing that, which was interesting that Casey had said that he, suggested against doing all that stuff anyways, because it's just fluff. You're just taking somebody else's shit and you're taking the easy way out or whatever. I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. It has its place, and I'm not going to deny that some people have some really amazing videos, and they do these, they sort of go off the beaten path of just straight vlog, like Casey, where it's just straight cuts. He's, drawing in a freaking Sharpie on a piece of cardboard to get his point across, things like that. Of course, there are 1,000,001 copycats, if you want to put it that way, or people that are influenced by him, and all the videos look the same, which is why, again, I don't want to be Casey Neistat. I don't want to be Peter McKinnon, and it's nothing against them. Great videos and all that kind of stuff, but it's a lot of fluff and pomp and circumstance that I don't really care to do, which is why I sort of made fun of it. And the other day I did that one little segment where I was doing the kind of vlog that I hate doing. Ultimately, you got to do what you want to do. Yeah, it's great that people are watching my stuff more. It's great that people are interacting more and all that kind of stuff. I'm still going to be doing the same thing. I'm still going to be giving you any information that I can glean that's going to try to help you. I'm still going to show you my journey of doing all this when I'm miserable with a freaking headache and a spine ache, and I'm going to freaking hit people with a bat because it's so aggravating. Nothing's going to change. I might, it's not that I might, I will continue to try new shit and do things differently, because I don't know, that's kind of the point of this journey for me, is that I want to learn how to do all this stuff. I want to be able to tell my story, my stories, and try to make it as interesting and as aesthetically pleasing as possible to, most people, but mostly to me. I'm my own worst critic. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I have, continued to seek out other creators to see what they're doing and give that stuff a try and see if it works for me. And I've also started shooting differently, thinking ahead, so that it isn't as difficult for me to edit it. But I have been trying new things, and I'm going to continue trying new things, and you'll start to see them in these videos, where it's always not just a straight cut. It's always not just me swearing and blathering on and all that kind of stuff. I try to cut in, I hate to say B-roll, because I'm not doing B-roll, so to speak, but I am trying to cut something in that pertains to whatever the hell it is I'm talking about at that point in the video, and I'm trying to do it in new and better, more pleasing ways. Like when I look at the screen here, which I continue to fucking do, I can't stop looking at that screen, and I see that in my videos, and it drives me crazy, to the point where I think I pretty much know where I need to hold this camera to make sure that I'm in frame, that I'm gonna start closing that damn screen so that I cannot look at the screen, because I always look at the screen now. That being said, that at this point now, it looks great on the screen. It looks just as great as when I'm shooting in 4K. That might not give me as much latitude to play around in the editing, but I already don't play that much in editing anyways, so nothing really lost there. And if I know I want to play more, then I'll shoot in 4K. But for now, going back to 1080p, that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Still going to be doing the same shit, but trying to add some of my newly acquired knowledge. Google and YouTube are my friends, and I'm just going through and I'm trying to make things better. If you have any suggestions, if you have any tips, hints, or people that you think that I should be watching because they do a particularly good job with their editing and their storytelling, hit me up, man. Put it in the comments. I love to see new stuff. You know how it goes when you're doing the algorithm on YouTube. If you click on a cat video, you're gonna start seeing a shit ton of cat videos. I don't wanna see the same shit again. I wanna see new stuff. And if I can't think in my head of a search term specifically for what I'm looking for, then I'm at the mercy of the algorithm of whatever shows up on my feed. So hook me up, man. Give me some stuff to look at. I am continuing to earmark courses on Skillshare, especially on editing, but I don't want this to turn into, you know, like I'm going to film school for editing. You know, I want to learn how to do other shit too, you know, and everything helps. So audio, filmmaking techniques, editing techniques, storytelling techniques, all that stuff I'm interested in. That's what I want to know. Plus, I just want to learn shit. Love stuff about Bigfoot. Okay, so you get the idea. I just wanted to take some time because literally in the middle of this walk, and I decided to take the long walk, but in the middle of it, that's when I decided that I was going to change the settings on this camera so that I'm going back to 1080p. That's the central message. I've said it about 100 times now. Okay, that's all I got for you now. Thanks for putting up with me and listening to all that shit. I'm not going away, just changing it back up again. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to try stuff, see how it works for you. If it isn't quite working the way you want it to, you change, all right? It's a course adjustment. That's all I got for you now. That's literally it today. But as always, thanks for joining me. Seriously, like, subscribe, and all that shit. And remember, kids, forward and up.